Hi, this is Jacqueline Eckern with Eating Disorder Hope, and today I get the honor of interviewing TK. She is an alum from Timberline Knolls Treatment Center, and she is here today to discuss her recovery story and give us some insights on why weight should not determine our worth. Hi, TK.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I would love just to hear a little bit about your background, if you're willing to share it with us, about what you think maybe led to developing an eating disorder and what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, of course. I grew up in a very trauma surroundings, have a trauma background with many different traumas of all sorts. Um, Needed something to protect myself. And I've learned in recovery that my eating disorder did just that for me. It allowed me to shrink, to be unnoticed. It allowed me to hide my worth in what I thought was my worth. It helped me protect myself in so many ways. That it's yeah. Like looking back at why I got the eating disorder, in recovery, I did a project with my body image, and it was allowing me to figure out why I hated my body so much, and all the points of why I hated my body went right back to the trauma.
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring that up, because trauma, underlying trauma, is such a key factor for many of us that have had eating disorders or are dealing with eating disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And I wholeheartedly agree. In my own experience too, the eating disorder was a protective mechanism to try to take care of myself, not in a healthy way, but it seemed to make sense at the time. TK, how did you eventually address that trauma? What did you find useful in treatment and even as on an ongoing basis to move towards recovery from an eating disorder?
Well, I actually interned as a social worker at a high school, and that's when my trauma got like in me like bumped heads. Talking with the youth about their traumas made me realize that I had trauma.
Mhm.
Started therapy, started the process when therapy wasn't enough, went up to a higher level of care, went up to residential at one point, and then came back down to IOP and then outpatient. My outpatient therapist specializes in trauma and eating disorders. So it was really just like work of God to get me into the right therapist. And she also does somatic therapy, which is therapy that connects the body and mind. So being able to connect my body with my mind, the thing that I hated so much and the thing that I over controlled my mind and I hated my body. So connecting the two was like the therapeutic thing that I was missing with all my other therapies.
So yes, somatic therapy is so useful. And even just doing other activities like yoga or deep breathing or tuning into nature when you're on a walk, I think is part of the tools we can use to integrate sort of our soul, our mind, and our body. Do you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly with that. When I was at Timberline Knolls, we were exposed to art therapy and music therapy and equine therapy, and even being able to learn how I function like with a horse, something that was so unique. And then being able to be on their campus, within their beautiful like natured filled campus, and being able to take those pieces home with me and be by like a lake at home and know that lakes are safe places and I can like be at peace with them. Having the experience that I had at TK and being able to like trickle that into like my real life, definitely.
Oh, TK, you inspire me so much, because I'm thinking of this pond near my house and like, I'm going to go there and just relax and remind myself from your example that that's a safe place to just be, not to be in the head so much. So you just wrote an amazing blog for us and it's about weight and what your thoughts were about weight and society's stigma. And can you share some of your thoughts with us on that?
Yeah, with my personal experience, my weight was my everything when it came to my eating disorder. All of my beliefs and like worth and literally everything was wrapped up in my weight. And I think as a society as a whole, we have an emphasis on weight and beauty and like what the beauty looks like and a certain weight that image captures, and it's just not. It's incorrect because beauty's in all different shapes and sizes, and being able to be in recovery and learning that whatever size my body is, whatever weight I'm at, like it's beautiful and can provide beauty to the world. Yeah.
It sounds really grounded in self-acceptance too, which our society gives a different message about, doesn't it? It kind of says we're supposed to sculpt our bodies to look like this one very narrow image that few of us look like. What are your thoughts on that and the media messages that we get?
Yes. And I fell for that for a very long time. Even in early recovery, in early recovery, your body is fluctuating all over the place.
Yes.
And it wants to like find its set point. And I challenged that so much in early recovery because my like mind set point was different than my actual body set point. And I fought that for a while. It wasn't until I started seeing my current dietitian who studies and teaches the healthy at every size approach that I
Yes.
to understand like what healthy at every size was, and that she also taught intuitive eating, so being able to be in tune with my body and not just eating a meal plan to eat the food to survive, and actually like building that relationship with food also allowed me to build that relationship with like my nourishment levels and my body as a whole, so being able to like accept my body because it was being fed and nurtured the way that it needed to be nurtured and fed.
Very nice. And health at every size. We are very interested and supportive of health at every size. At Eating Disorder Hope too. And just from your perspective, what is that? What does it mean to say that there is health at every size?
It To me, my understanding and definition of it is that weight is not a factor when it comes to your health. That you can be sick or healthy at any weight.
Sure.
It's just I have come to understand that the weight stigma has been very stigmatized in the medical field. Um, yes. And just knowing that alone and knowing that I can be sick and that my cortisone levels could be at whatever level it is, depending on my stress level, and not have to do with my weight.
Agreed. And a really nice explanation. So one of the things you said in the blog that I love so much was this little section where you say, today I bashed this lie. Today I bashed my scale. Today I bashed my warped view of success and gladly failed at my eating disorder. Today I succeed at friendship, my work, having compassion, providing empathy and recovery. Such wisdom there. Can you say anything more about that?
Bashing my scale was one of the most empowering things I've ever done. Um, so long, it provided me with like such security.
Mhm.
Um, Been learning that like that sense of security was false. That sense of control that I thought I had was false. Um, all the lies that it told me was just, it was all false and deceiving, and I don't like being deceived. So once
Mm.
I like found that out, it had to go for sure. And bashing it was just super and powerful. It provided me with that like no going back um mindset, because I've gotten scales and have given them to professionals in the past, but then always gotten another scale And being able to bash it was like, there is no going back. It's in 1,000 little pieces. And seeing that I had so much of myself like defined by all those little pieces, just scattered like on the sheet that I bashed it on, made me realize that like that's not who I am. Like I am a friend, a daughter, a girlfriend, a dog mom, a lifelong learner, a social worker, all these other successes that I've had in my life that I've never really like fully owned because I was holding on to like this one success
Yeah. Yeah.
that wasn't really a success because it was deceiving me the whole time.
Yeah, the eating disorder is so deceptive, as is this myth of weight. So I understand that you are a social worker now, and obviously that gives you a great opportunity to give back from your own experience. In finishing up, would you have a message for anyone watching this that is struggling with weight obsession or giving the scale more power than it deserves?
Yeah, I would definitely encourage to start small. Go a day without stepping on the scale, and then go 2 days without stepping on the scale. Read books, listen to podcasts, read blogs and articles, talk to people, see a dietitian who understands that weight isn't everything. Um, the little steps, because bashing my scale was a huge step for me, but it definitely came with a bunch of little steps in between. And I think those little steps made the difference because all those little like empowerment moves that I got prepared me for like finally like letting go.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. So um, to wrap this up, I want to thank TK for introducing us to TK, Timberline Knowles for introducing us to TK. If you have any questions about their program, you can reach them at 888-206-1175. And also, TK, how can folks get in touch with you? It looks like you have your own website.
I do. I have a website. It's tktalks.org. So TEEKAA talks.org. I have a messaging app on there. They can contact me through that. They can comment on anything that's on the website. All my contact information is there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today and for inspiring us all.
Thank you for having me.